Hi there, it's Diane. Welcome to my basement. Today we're going to be learning about angles, and we're also going to be learning about parallel and perpendicular lines. So let's get started. Well, the first thing you should ask yourself is, what's an angle? So an angle is formed by two lines that meet. There are different types of angles. So we see here that there are three types of angles. When these two lines meet, they form a right angle. And you'll notice that right angles have a square where the two lines meet. That tells you that it created a 90-degree angle. Again, it's called a right angle. Then we have these two lines that meet, and when they meet, they create an acute angle. Oh, it's so cute. It is less than 90 degrees. So they drew a dashed line. That's showing you what a 90-degree right angle would be. And then they're showing you that it's less than. It's not as big as a 90-degree angle, so we call this acute angle. Oh, look at this angle. That's a big boy. He's obtuse. An obtuse caboose. So this one is where two lines meet, and they create an angle that is greater than, that's bigger than a right angle. So it is greater than 90 degrees. So this is an obtuse angle. So you have a right angle with the square, acute angle, it's less than 90 degrees, small, and an obtuse angle with a big caboose. It's larger than 90 degrees. So let's see if you can remember the three types of angles. So you know that an angle is made when two lines meet. We have the right angle. Remember the little square that they put in the corner? You have an acute angle and an obtuse angle. You can remember that, right? Great. Okay, so we met the three angles. Let's now switch gears and we're going to talk about lines. We're going to talk about parallel and perpendicular lines. So what you need to know is, what's the difference between a parallel line and a perpendicular line? Have you ever heard those words before, parallel and perpendicular? Well, parallel lines are lines that never meet. Aww, these are two lines, A and B, and they're never going to meet each other. How sad. They're called parallel lines. You know what they remind me of? They remind me of a railroad track. Choo-choo. The two sides, they never meet, and the train just travels on them forever. Well, not forever. They have to end somewhere, don't they, if they're on a train. But parallel lines, if you continue the lines, they never meet. And then we have perpendicular lines. Now these are straight lines, keep that in mind. They're straight lines, and they form a right angle. Do you remember about right angles that I just mentioned, where we have the little square? So perpendicular lines meet, and they create a right angle. So we say that A is perpendicular to B. Now what we like to do in math is we use symbols like equals and greater than and less than. So The symbol that we use for parallel lines is like 2 forward slashes. Doot, doot. And the symbol we use for perpendicular lines is an upside down T. Okay, great. I have a little trick for you. What if I told you that you can remember the difference between parallel and perpendicular because of their name? Let's look here. In parallel, let's see if I can get that light off of it. In parallel, the word parallel, there are 2 L's. And if you look closely, the 2 L's are actually parallel to each other. So parallel lines are like the number 11, the equal sign, or the symbol for parallel, the 2 forward slashes. So it's easy to remember because of the 2 L's in the word parallel. Woohoo! And then perpendicular just means that 2 lines meet at a 90-degree angle. 2 straight lines. So that is a plus sign or an X, like the multiplication symbol, and the upside down T that shows that 2 lines are perpendicular. I put the little orange square to remind you that it needs to be 90 degrees. Okay, are you ready for some practice? I'm ready for some practice. So if you turn your book to page 57, let's see what we got going on page 57. Okay, it says, observe, that just means to look at. Look at the angles in each of these figures. So we have figure A, figure B, and figure C. We're only going to focus on figure A though. Write the number of each type of angle. So they have right angle, acute angle, and obtuse angle. What I did is, first of all, right angles are easy because they give you a square. So all you have to do is really count the squares. That's pretty convenient. 1, 2, 3. So right away, I know that there are 3 ding 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 right angles. Acute angles are a little bit more difficult, but they have to be less than 90 degrees. So if you look at the square, if it went straight across the bottom, it would have been 90 degrees, but this is half of the square. They split the square in 2, so I know that this is acute. And if you notice this one up here, it does the same thing. It doesn't go straight across, it goes halfway through the square. So I know those 2 are right angles, but let's look at this angle here. Well, to me, it looks like it did 1 full square plus another half. So that is going to be obtuse. Let me show you what I mean. I colored them. So the red, we have 3 squares. And then the blue are 2 right angles. And the green is 1 obtuse angle. So, acute, I would say 1, 2. Hey, good job. And obtuse, I would say 1. What do you think? Yeah, you agree? Great. 3, 2, 1. You'll have to try B and C on your own. So they're only looking at the angles that they've drawn the angle for. This one, definitely look at your at your angles, but make sure that the ones that have squares you know right away those are right angles. Even look at this one. This one looks more like a diamond, but all it is a square that's been turned sideways. So that is a right angle. I know you can do this. You know what? Just practice. That's all what it's about, right? Practicing. Number 2, it gets a little more difficult. So the beauty about number 2 is that there's no real answer in that, well, there is a real answer, but there can be many different types of answers. So I want to show you how I created mine. What I did was I took my highlighter and it said draw 3 right angles. Well, actually it says draw a figure that has at least. So when it says at least, can I have more than 3 right angles? Yeah, I can have 4 or 5, 6, but I need at least 3. So what I did is I drew 1, 2, 3 right angles. So now I have 3 right angles. Good, good, good. I went on to the next, what are we going to call this? The next instruction. And it said 2 acute angles. Oh, they're so cute. So you can just do acute. That's silly. And acute. Like star points. Great. And now the next instruction says 2 obtuse angles. Obtuse are kind of hard, actually. So it has to be like a 90, but then further out. So instead of just going straight up, I added more. And then you can just kind of connect them. And then this one will be the other one. So I'll do another one way out here. So instead of going straight down, I have to go out further. Like this. So this angle here is obtuse. This angle here is obtuse. And then you just kind of connect them. Just connect them. And you can get some really silly shapes going on. I'm not quite sure what that is. What do you think that is? Those are my obtuse angles. 2 of them. These are my 2 acute angles. Little stars, star points, right? And then my right angles have 90 degrees, so I'm going to put little squares in the corners. What do you think that looks like to you? Oh, you know what this looks like to me? It looks like a turtle coming out of his shell. Let's see if it has a shell. And here's the turtle smiling. And how do you draw a turtle shell? Something, I guess, like this. Yeah, he looks like a turtle. I wonder where he's going. He's going away. He's hungry. Bye, Mr. Turtle. So that's how you do it. I drew another one actually earlier. Looks more like a forklift. Perhaps. So I have my 3 right angles. I have my 2 acute angles. And I have my 2 obtuse angles. So have fun with it. Try different shapes. See what you can make. Well, I think we understand right angles, 90 degrees, and they form squares. I think we understand acute angle. They're so tiny, like the points of a star. And obtuse angles. They're huge. Huge. So, let's move on to practicing our perpendicular lines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to erase Mr. Turtle. Oh no! Bye, Mr. Turtle. See you again next time. And my little forklift, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to look at page 58. Go ahead and turn your book to page 58. And the instructions say, highlight the parallel lines. So they give us A, B, C, and D. And we have to highlight. Do you have a highlighter? Go ahead and take out your highlighter. Great. So, you need to highlight the parallel lines. Well, we need to understand what a parallel line is. Oh, I remember that the word parallel has two parallel lines in it. So those are lines that never touch. Do you see any lines here that never touch? Well, A and B don't touch, but here's the trick, is that you have to pretend as if the line continues. And if you continue them, then they make an X. They touch. So don't be fooled. You're no fool. So which ones here never touch? A and C touch, A and D touch. A and B would eventually touch, so it's not A. B and C touch and B and D touch, so it's not B. That leaves us with C and D. So go ahead and highlight C and D. They are your parallel lines. Way to go. Okay, let's look at number 7. So number 7, it gives us lines D, A, B, C, and E. And they want us to highlight the perpendicular lines. But here's the trick. Perpendicular lines have to meet at a 90-degree angle. It has to make like a little square. But they didn't give us the square, did they? Oh no, they make it challenging. They're making us use our brain. Well, that looks kind of close, but I don't think, this looks like an obtuse angle there, so I don't think A and D are perpendicular. E, oh no, that's way too big. And that's way too big, so I don't think it's E. Now, I think it's D with either B or C. So what do you think? I think D is going to hit, which one looks more like a straight line? Raise your hand if you think it's B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay. And raise your hand if you think it's C, that C is perpendicular with D. This one's really tricky. I think they should have put the square. I'm going to go with B. B looks more like a perpendicular line. So if you said B and D, I would agree with you. Let's check. It is. It's B and D. But you know what? That is pretty tricky. So if you didn't get it right, that's okay. That was hard. And we said C and D earlier, so we got that right. Okay, great. Are you ready to move on? Okay. Number 10 is so much fun, and I'm going to tell you why. Because you know what? Math is meant to be fun. We should enjoy it, right? Numbers and shapes and colors. I love math. But the great thing about number 10 is that we don't have to use paper and pencil. We can use plastic, we can use wood, because they want us to draw, well, you need a pencil to draw, or a marker, but whatever. Draw 3 different figures that each have both parallel and perpendicular lines. Okay, so get this. I have this toy. Dun 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 dun. Yeah. I have this toy that I play with. It's called Legs, or sometimes they call them Geo Sticks, and they've got all sorts of names. But you can play around with their shapes. And what you can do is you can make shapes that, ooh, here, watch this. I'm gonna pull out my square. That's gonna be easier, I think, for you to see. So my square, dun, da, 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 my square has two parallel lines here and two parallel lines here, doesn't it? But here's something cool. It also has lines that are perpendicular. They meet at a 90-degree angle. And these lines are perpendicular. And these lines are perpendicular. And these lines are perpendicular. So the answer to 10A is a square. You can just draw a square. It is one figure that has both parallel lines and perpendicular lines. What about a triangle? Does this triangle have any parallel or perpendicular lines? No, they're all acute. That doesn't work. So we can try, let's see if I can pull this one back out. So this one, okay, so these bad boys, you can take them off and you can change them. And you can reconnect any way you want. So I'm going to make a new shape. I'm going to make a shape that has, oh, maybe you can guess my shape. This shape is going to have two long sides that are going to be parallel. And I'm going to take these two and I'm going to connect them. Okie dokie. All right, so this shape, do you know what this shape is called? It's not a square because remember a square, all the sides are the same length. This one has, oh, yeah, so this one has two, can someone tell me what shape this was? I thought I heard it, that's why I stopped. Oh, you're right, thank you, it's a rectangle. Because two sides are the same length and they're longer than the other two sides that are a bit smaller, but they're the same length too, aren't they? So this is a rectangle. Now in a rectangle, are there two parallel lines? So these two are parallel and these two are parallel, but are there any perpendicular lines? Do they create 90 degrees? Yeah, they do. Right here, right there, right there, and right there. So now you have the answer to 10A was a square, 10B was a rectangle. Ooh, C is tricky. That's why I like to play around with these. So for C, actually, you can keep the rectangle. And you can just, what happens if you move it like this? Parallelogram, what do we got going on here? Are these two, okay, so these are parallel, they'll never meet, but we don't have perpendicular. We have an acute angle. So that's not gonna work. We're gonna have to, I think we're gonna have to go back to our square. Yeah, let's go back to our square. Dun 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 dun, dun 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 dun. Okay, so I've got my square. What if we turn the square into a diamond? Can you see that? Does that work? Do we, look, all I did was turn it sideways. I didn't even change the shape at all. Just turned it sideways. So now we have the diamond shape. We have 2 pairs of parallel lines, and we have 4 lines that are perpendicular. That's cool. You can also play around with some shapes. Let's see. So this shape I had earlier, my triangle, it has 3 acute angles. They're all less than 90 degrees. Then we have the square, and the square has 4 angles that are all 90 degrees. They're all right angles. Can you think of a shape that has only obtuse angles? So we've seen a shape, the triangle, that had all acute angles. And we saw the square that had all 90 degrees. But can you think of a shape? Let's see if I can show you. That only has obtuse angles. Can you see my... Well, let's count. Let's see if anyone knows this shape. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. Does anyone know the shape that has 6 sides? It's like a stop sign almost. The hexagon. The hexagon. It's similar to a pentagon, right? Because if you take away one side and you have 5, that would be a pentagon. Whee! Like that. So yeah, you can make shapes that only have obtuse angles. It's kind of cool. You know what? I love to play with these. You can make so many different shapes. But if you don't have these at home, you can make your own. I am not kidding. So, what I like to do is I take popsicle sticks and I add the Velcro to them, and you can make different shapes at home. Fun, 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 fun. Enjoy math. Okay, back to our book. We're almost done. I want to try number 11, so let's focus. Refocus. There we go. It says, observe these lines. A, B, C, D, and E. Observe. It just means look at them. Mark the appropriate symbol. So the upside down T, that was for perpendicular, or the 2 forward slashes, that stands for parallel in each box. Let's go ahead and do this together. So I'm going to take my plastic cover and go over it so I can use my marker. Here we go. So they say, look at A and B. So let's look at A and B. So I'm going to highlight A and B for you. So what type of lines are A and B? Can you see? A and B? A and B are parallel lines. You got it. So let's go on to the next one. B. B says they want you to figure out what B and C are. What type of lines are B and C? So I'm going to highlight B and C for you. Well, B and C, they intersect, they meet at a 90-degree angle. So we know that is perpendicular, the upside down T. Great. In your book, you can highlight too if you'd like. Some of my students, they just put their fingers over it. So look at D and E. You can just lay down your finger on E, and then lay your other finger down on D, and your fingers never touch. So D and E are parallel. And finally, A and C. You're pros now. Look at you. A and C. A and C intersect at a 90-degree angle. So they are perpendicular. Parallel, perpendicular, parallel, perpendicular. Let's see if you got it right. Parallel, perpendicular. Ooh, parallel and perpendicular. Great. So I think you're ready to go on, complete the rest of the pages in the book. Try your best. If you need help, ask an adult, ask someone around. It's okay to need help. And, play around. If you don't have sticks or if you don't have the angle eggs, just try paper, You can roll up paper, you can use Play-Doh. Try around, make some shapes, make some objects that have right angles, that have obtuse angles, that have acute angles. Have fun, stay curious, and I'll see you next time. Bye.